Well, hi everyone, it's Rob Evans 365 and I think it's day number 318. I am just on my way back from Brisbane, so the clock is about to tick over. By the time I finish this, it's about to tick over into the new day. It's late at night, it's well after 11 o'clock at night. It will be midnight, after midnight, probably close to 1 o'clock by the time I get into bed tonight, and I thought I would give you a bit of an insight into my trip back and how I'm feeling. And after only a few hours really after recording my 365 from yesterday from the airport, I thought, well, this is probably a good opportunity for me to record this one so that I don't fall asleep at the wheel. Because I am fairly tired, but I'm still good to drive, don't get me wrong. I am in good shape, although I don't really like driving at night much these days. But anyway, hey, I had Wi-Fi on the trip back, and that's the first time I've ever had Wi-Fi on an aeroplane before that actually worked. Now, I don't know how the technology works, but you're like 10 kilometers up in the air, and I don't know, where's it coming from? The ground? I mean, I don't understand how that works. I mean, the Wi-Fi at my house is communicating from tower to tower, and they're like every, I don't know, what are they? Every few hundred meters or something apart, it seems, or 8 kilometers or something apart. So I don't know how it works from all the way up into the air, moving so quickly and stuff. It was slow to work, but then it did work when we were actually up in the air. And I started watching a bit of a movie. I watched The Mule, actually. I've got to say, I didn't really get into it. I was tired, and there were some other choices of movies, but I don't know, it's just a pretty ordinary bunch of movies. They spend millions and millions of dollars on these movies, and then you think, yeah, after they put years of work into it, probably. So sorry, Clint, I think it was one of yours that you directed and acted in. You did a fine job at acting, and I'm sure directing as well. Maybe I just wasn't in the zone for you to give it its true appreciation, but nice work. I admire your work, Dirty Harry, being one of your favourites, my favourites. But anyway, so I was doing that. So I actually recorded a Facebook Live from the air and had some people tune into that while I did it. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, as I was coming back, I thought, what can I talk about? And I thought, well, why don't we talk about your health on the aeroplane? Now, I know that I talked about it a bit going up in terms of, or when I arrived, and about what they put in, the airlines put in food to stop you from doing a poo on the flight and stuff. And I thought I'd do a little bit more research. So why don't we start with maybe what you ingest on the plane. And the research I did indicate that when you are flying at altitude, that you will be a little bit more constipated anyway, and then they put stuff in the food to help make you even more constipated. So it's any wonder that you get off the plane feeling a bit yucky. Yes, as I've worked out as well, the fluid does pool in your ankles and your feet, hence the deep vein thrombosis issue and wearing the stockings and stuff. And yes, my health tip is to make sure that you wear the compression socks. So I wore mine tonight, and I still have them on, and I try and move around as much as I can, make sure that I drink as much as I can. I don't know where the liquid goes. I went to the loo twice, actually. I think I've had almost 4 litres of water today. It is a cleanse day, and I have to confess that I have had a highly nutritious protein bar. It's close to midnight, and really hungry. I should be, like, normally by this stage I'm in bed and it doesn't really matter, but I'm still up and starving and got a a fair way to go still. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to have the protein bar that I brought with me. Okay, it is an Isagenix one, so I know it's good, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I've still got enough water to get me back home. So yes, you retain more fluid as well. You dehydrate, so making sure that we drink lots of fluid. They reckon about what did it say? I think it said 1 litre for every 4 hours of travel, something like that. Actually, or was it 7 hours of travel? Yeah, maybe it was 4 hours. I can't remember. But anyway, I just make sure I drink as much as I can. I think it's just good for your skin and good for flushing that stuff out of your system. Just drinking as much as you can. So that's what I do. And they said it was, the fluid does form around your ankles. We don't tend to move around as much, so the water doesn't circulate through your body as much, so it tends to pool in those lower limbs, which is not good for us. The other aspect that I was interested in was the radiation. I've heard some conflicting things about the radiation in aeroplanes. Oh, another yawn. The interesting one that I read was that the radiation that the pilots are exposed to, and obviously the people in the plane as well, which is radiation which is formed from exploding stars that come outside of our solar system, and then they hit the fuselage of the plane. The radiation hits the fuselage of the plane and penetrates. So there is radiation that happens from that perspective. I couldn't see much radiation coming out of, the wiring that goes through the plane, which is what I have heard in the past. Bottom line was, they said, oh dear, another yawn, was that even pilots that fly for 30 years for extended periods of time have a very, very low risk of having issues with the radiation, because it's at such low levels. But they are only allowed to fly so frequently because of those and other concerns. But basically, my reading of it was that the exposure that you have is so low that it really wouldn't trouble you. So it was kind of like less than an X-ray would be, for that kind of stuff. So I guess that's a good thing. I don't know about you, but whenever I fly, I know that I just don't feel great. I mean, my skin dries out, hence the dehydration, I suppose. I find that yes, obviously my feet swell a little, and therefore probably my calves do as well. I never sleep well on the plane for an extended flight, no matter how hard I try. Like, I was really tired on the flight tonight. I couldn't really sleep, so I decided to watch a movie instead. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, well, because I'm not moving around as much, the body seizes up, the muscle seizes up. It's I just think flying at that altitude as well, I don't know, it just doesn't make me feel clean. Well, that's another point about health on the aeroplane. The travel tip was to make sure that you've got wipes, as in antibacterial wipes, and hand sanitizing gel, like after you use the toilet, even once you wash your hands, wiping down, your table and all that kind of stuff, making sure that you cleanse your hands thoroughly before you're eating any of the food on the plane, because there's a lot of contamination. And I mean, how generally people's hygiene is fairly poor. People washing their hands properly on the plane is a bit of an issue too, because, well, the plane I was just on, they've got this little sudsy, pump thing, and you pump it out, and you've got the sudsy stuff on your hands, and you rub it together. Then you kind of got to, press buttons and pump things to get the water out that comes out for like 10 seconds, and then you've got to do it again. Well, people are already pressing those buttons and everything when they've just gotten off the toilet and stuff, so all their germs transmit to those, and then you've got to open the door and all that kind of stuff. So it's a very unhygienic area, and you're washing your hands in this tiny little area, so people don't, wash them anywhere near as well as they would normally. So you would be best served to take care of those things yourself by using some hand sanitizer once you get back to your seat or whatever. Wiping down your little table before you're eating and stuff is probably a good idea as well. Making sure that you're cleaning your phone regularly as well. Like I have my phone rested on the little tray table, and it's already covered in germs. And then obviously your phone gets handled by different people and stuff as well. So it's a very, very germ toxic environment, your phone. So I thought they were interesting points. And I certainly don't take the bacterial wipes or the hand sanitizer when I travel on the plane. I often have it I had it when I went to Bali, for instance, using it at every moment, but it wasn't something that I'd thought of for the plane. It makes sense, but it's not something that I'd really thought of, so that's something I will do in the future. And that's they're probably the travel tips that I would give you in terms of your health there. Apart from the obvious of ordering the meals and stuff, somebody many years ago told me if you want to order the healthiest meal on the plane, always order the kosher meal, and that will always be the healthiest version. I mean, when we travelled up, they had two options I was travelling up at lunchtime, and one was 3 different pies, like a quiche, a chicken pie and a meat pie, and the other was a cheese and chutney sandwich. And I'm like, who is serving cheese and chutney sandwiches? It sounds like something you'd serve a kid. But it was a lot of thick, like cream cheese and that kind of stuff. So a lot of the snacks that they put on there are, fairly high calorie, not necessarily the best choices for you. So again, I always travel with my own alternatives. Oh dear, I apologise. I'm just going over the Balti Bridge here, so I've got still about a 45-minute trip or so from here home. I always take the snacks with me because you just never know what you're going to get or not get, for that matter. I mean, I have known of people to, pardon me, go on longer trips, like to Bali actually, and not be supplied a meal apart from some water and a snack. That was on Garuda, I think. So when I went, who did I fly with? I'm trying to think of there's another Indonesian flight. It's like called Salal or something like that, or Saleh. It's a combination of Indonesia and Malaysia combined together, those words. But anyway, I'd never heard of it before. Indal or something? No, I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. But gee, it was very good. I mean, it looked like a brand new plane. It was fantastic, and the food was really great. That was like a year ago today, kind of thing, that I was over there. So that was exciting. Pardon me. Oh gosh, I'm going to sleep well tonight. I have an early start tomorrow, but it's not super early, so I'm definitely going to try and sleep in. I think my first appointment is at 7, and normally I'd have the kids tonight, but because it's so late, their mum's got them, and I'll pick them up from school tomorrow. But I'll definitely need to sleep in. I mean, I'll be lucky to get to bed by, looking at the time now, if I rush, don't unpack or anything, have a shower, jump into bed. I reckon it will be 1:45, something like that. So if I'm got to be in client at 7, I'll try and get up maybe 6. That'll give me, aim to give me my 6 hours and a little bit more sleep, because I feel like I have been needing just a little bit more right now. And I have to tell you that after sitting in an air-conditioned room all day today, like it was really cold. I was cold for about 6 hours. I can just feel a little bit of raspiness in my throat. And then to, hop on a plane and there's people coughing around you and stuff, and, shaking a lot of hands and stuff today. This is why JT doesn't shake hands with people. He gives them like a fist pump. He doesn't shake hands because, he does it to he meets so many people. If he shook everybody's hands, he gets everybody's germs and everything. So, I mean, it makes sense. There's just things that you don't really think about, I suppose. But it's easily transposed, isn't it? So that's what my wish is for me tonight, to get a nice solid sleep. I actually slept pretty well in the motel. The pillows were sensational. I don't know what they were made of. They're kind of like memory foam pillows, really heavy and really long as well. Over a metre long, I reckon, but really, really cool. And but there's nothing like your own bed. You just can't beat your own bed, and especially after being away for a few days. You get home late at night. It's freezing here. It's like 11. It was like 23 or something when I left Brisbane. It's hard to come back and tackle this cold weather. It was a cool shock walking out from the airport tonight. But yeah, you just can't beat your own bed. Something about it. Clean sheets, your pillow, your mattress. Oh, it's toasty warm when you get in. Sensational. So I will be looking forward to that. I reckon I'll be able to sleep in about 2 minutes tonight, which would be great. And then tomorrow I got a really busy day because I do have to reschedule a bunch of people for Wednesday. Wednesday is like a really busy day for me with clients in the afternoon to evening. I've got to reschedule all of them. So I'm going to go to another JT event on Wednesday. So I'm back into the city again on Wednesday. I can't remember where the event is actually. Oh, that's right, it's in St Kilda Road. Up off St Kilda Road. So it's not an ideal location. It's horrible to get home from there. But anyway, we will see. But it's just good to go to as many events as you can. And I mean, this is why I keep getting better, because I'm just dedicated to going and listening and learning, being seen by JT, interacting with JT. Joe, it was interesting today. Like, I'm a very, very loyal person, and I know it's probably JT's greatest strength as well. And I always make sure that I sit in the front row, and where he sees me, like, he see me wherever I sit in the room, because of there's not that many people at these 2-day events and 1-day events, but he's got an eye for detail. He's got a photographic memory, but I always sit in the front somewhere so that if he's putting stuff up on the screen, he sees me, all that kind of stuff. And every single time for the last 3 or 4, I'll say 3 or 4 that I've done, he always interacts with me in in front of everybody else and stuff, and it's kind of like we're secret buddies. But it's just really cool, I think, to be able to have somebody of such a high level of coach and net worth and amazing contacts and everything that you can just have conversations with. It was funny. I was going into the loo to get changed to come out to the airport, and he was coming out, and we had a quick exchange of words. He asked me if I was going to Mega Success, and said I couldn't wait, and and so forth. So just it's little by little. I mean, these people, you can't just call them up and have time with them. You've got to make the best of opportunities and stuff. And what was interesting when we were having photos at the front, I always look for, if there's an opportunity to have a photo with JT, I will always have a photo with him. And there weren't as many people there today. A bunch left early, and I thought, well, I'll go out and get ready for my photo. And it was interesting just watching the other people. They're just, JT stands next to them because he's quite tall, and certainly very tall compared to me. And he kind of just leans into them. He doesn't put his arm around people, especially ladies, because of the Me Too movement, any risk that he has of sexual harassment or anything. His lawyers advise him, don't touch anyone and all that kind of stuff, which seems crazy, but that's the kind of world we live in, and people that want to bring him down and all that kind of stuff. And what was interesting was, this goes to show you, there's a guy that I won't name him, but there's a guy that has been part of JT's, following him for longer than I have, probably about 12 months longer than I have. And from what I can tell, like talking to him, that I don't know, there's kind of been a falling out, and he's sort of moved away a little bit from JT, and that must be obvious to JT as well. And he went in for a photo. He didn't say anything to JT. JT didn't say anything to him, and just stood in there for a photo and stuff. And I don't know, I think whenever I had the photos taken with the celebrities in LA, with the exception of, it was probably Jewel, who I was told like 3 seconds before going onto a photo with her, said really quickly, like, don't look at her, don't talk to her, don't touch her. I'm like, okay. And then boom, you're right in front of her to have a photo. And it's like, okay, that's why my face looks really crazy with her. Because I'm like spooked. It's like, well, what do I do? I just stand here. I feel all stupid. But every single other person, I always thank them. And I, where it was permissible, I would shake their hand. I would, put my arm around them. And that was really cool. There was a few people where you couldn't do that, like Brooke Shields, she didn't want to do that. But Mel Gibson was fine, Vanilla Ice was fine, Hugh Hilton was fine. Like, I stood in the middle of them, they put their arms around me. Steve Wozniak was fine, Marty Ray was fine. Just about all of them were good. It was really only a couple. Dr. Phil was one that they said, don't talk to him, don't touch him. But I thought, what? How many times am I ever going to meet Dr. Phil? So I just thanked him as I left, and he said thanks. I just think it's polite. So whenever I had, the point of telling you that is, whenever I see JT, because I know him, obviously better than those celebrities, I say, hi JT, thanks for today. I just think it's polite. It's just good manners, and whether he gives you a fist pump or something like that. And he put his arm around me, pulled me in, and we had a great photo. And I thought it was interesting because he didn't do that with anyone else, and that was really cool. And then I went back in to the room, and then there was a couple of people that wanted to have photos taken with me. And then what was really cool, I've got the photo. I'll post it tomorrow. Today that you're listening to this, but later today. And he photobombed a photo with us, which was really cool. So, I'll post that one up. And, just taking photos of the coaches. And, what was cool today was the coaches always say at the front, they said, you should come to these events with a list of things that you should be doing. Sorry, that's not right. A list of what you want to get out of the event, a list of questions, some outcomes that you want to walk away from. And you don't want to walk away from the event with unanswered questions, because they say, we're here, we're at the back of the room. If you need to ask a question, you can come and ask us, which is fantastic, because some of the coaches in different organisations can be kind of untouchable. They don't like to be there. They're kind of like on a pedestal, and well, you can talk to me, but if you want coaching, well, you've got to pay for that. And I think that's really cool. And I must say that in past events, I'm probably too polite, and that probably comes down to my upbringing and just being courteous, and I'll never push in. I'll always wait my turn, and if I miss out, I miss out, kind of thing. But I don't like to be pushy like that, because their time's precious and stuff. But other people will push in, but they weren't really in high demand this time. So I wanted to talk to both Brent and to Coach D, and I was waiting for Brent, and this young lady in front of me was just taking forever, and Brent could see me there, and I was just waiting patiently. And then Coach D came over. I thought, okay, well, I'll go and ask him a question. And I said, look, can I ask you a question? He was in front of the computer. He said, oh, look, I just need to do this, but you can talk to me at the same time. I said, are you sure? He said, yeah, no, that's okay. So I asked him the question. He said, okay, that's going to require a bit more of my concentration. Let me finish this, and then I'll get back to you. I said, yeah, that's fine. He said, look, it may not be now. I said, look, that's okay. I'll just see you before lunch. He said, yeah, it might be later this afternoon or something. So that was fine. So then I waited for Brent, and I spoke to Brent, and asked him the question, and it was like a networking type of question, and how I can get more involved with different groups that I'm networking with. And he always gives really great advice, really practical stuff that you can go and do straight away. And he helped me out with a one-page proposal to some high net worth people for another event that I wanted to do. And I just would have had no idea how to do this if I hadn't spoken to him. He's just really, really forthcoming. Got a lot of time for Brent, a lot of respect for him. So that was good. And so then we had a lunch break, and I went up to Coach D and I said, look, is now a good time, or do we need to be later? And he said, yeah, do you want to come grab some lunch with me? And I said, yeah, great. So we did that, and then he grabbed a couple of other people as well. I thought, damn, I'm not going to get your full attention, but yeah, that's fine. It gave me a chance to have a chat with some other people as well. And then over lunch, I got to ask him a question, got some good information and content from him as well. So I've walked away from the event with my questions answered. And what was interesting was Coach D did one of the sessions later in the day, and he said, who's got unanswered questions? And about 10 people put up their hands. And he said, remember what I said yesterday, that if you've got questions that you need answered, you need to come and see us. And he said, only one person has come to see us, and that was me. That had their, I didn't have my hand up anymore. He said, only one. And I thought, well, kudos to me. Because you just never know what great information they can give you. I mean, this is free advice. I mean, they had one of their packages, they were charging $5,000 for a one coaching session. And for half an hour. Now, you could spend 10 minutes. I mean, I had a 20-minute lunch. Actually, it was longer than that. It was a 45-minute lunch, where we didn't talk business. We talked about personal stuff as well, and just getting to know, getting to know him getting to know us and stuff. And, having time with Brent as well. That was just, because he was there. So I think it's great. And then, again, I think it just comes down to common courtesy. Tracy, who does a great job. Tracy's like the admin. She's there at the front to check everybody in. She takes all the payments. She sells the books. She sells the ties. She lays out all the ties and everything every single day. She does all of that work. She's got to pack up all the suitcases and stuff. She's got to organise, a lot of stuff. There's a lot of administration that goes into these events, and she does it all.